Welcome, everybody. Um, our class theme will be opening to a higher flow of energy, and we'll specifically be working with Lakshmi Mudra, which I'll demo later when you're sitting up, so you don't have to worry about it right now. But in Lakshmi Mudra, one hand points up, one hand points down. And this symbolizes connecting to higher energy, but then allowing that energy to flow through you and beyond into the world. And so as we move through our class today, our goal will be to open and become receptive, but instead of filling up, we'll allow things to just keep moving and flowing through us. So with that, we can begin. If you haven't already, you can turn to the left and slowly make your way onto your belly, lowering all the way down. Stack the hands, bring the elbows wide, and bring the forehead to the hands. In this space, it often feels natural to be introspective. And so just notice your capacity to feel the walls of the body, your skin, simultaneously cradled by the earth and spacious against the sky above. Observe the breath. And without any sense of forcefulness, just allow the breath to slow slightly, helping you land in your skin in the present moment. Feel free at any time to adjust the elbows, adjust the shoulders and the neck so that you can rest here and feel relaxed. And we'll just observe a few breath cycles before we begin to move. And the breath is this continuous flow of energy, moves in to and then leaves us. And we can just be receptive and also let it flow freely. Maintaining that perspective on the breath, ever so gently. Extend the left arm and slide the right hand underneath the right shoulder. Press into the right hand to roll onto the left side of the body. You should be facing the screen at this point. Bend the knees just a crack so it's really easy to balance on your side. If you have not yet hit play on your music, you can hit play to loop the first track. And then we'll do some intero surfing on our side body. So just gently start to rock forward and back. And this subtly massages the whole left side of the body. But what's more important is that we notice, we pay attention to the sensations. So you can shine your light of awareness down to the feet, just gently massaging the top of the left foot, rolling back towards the left heel, making your way up to the space of the ankle and the calf. And it's okay if some places don't contact the earth. Sometimes you can still feel them even without that massage feedback. Make your way up towards the outer thigh and the hip. And this sensing of the body and bringing your awareness to each of these areas is actually going to make your body more functional as we move. Yes, it feels nice now. You get a little massage. That's great. But it's actually going to help you move in a more integrated way. Bring your awareness up to the rib cage and imagine you're trying to imprint your ribs in warm sand. You're just gently pressing the front of the rib cage and then the side and then the back, feeling the space between the ribs. And notice the space of the shoulder, and feel free to change the angle of the shoulder. Sometimes it's intense for it to be overhead, so you can point it in front of you slightly, and that takes a little less range of motion. Allow the head to continue resting on the bicep, and notice the back of the shoulder and the arm. And then bring the awareness all the way to the hand and roll the hand around a little bit so you get some feedback on the pinky side, the fingers, the index finger side. And before we switch sides, take a moment to hold your whole body in your awareness. Just sensing the whole body ever so gently rolling forward and back. And then slowly roll all the way onto the belly. And stack your hands in that place that we began in. And just notice any difference between the left and right side. And it's okay if you don't notice anything. But sometimes the neck, the shoulder, the arms just feel more supportive. There's no tension or fighting. And we'll bring that same activity into the right side. And so extend the right arm, bring left hand underneath left shoulder, gently push into the left hand to roll onto the right side. Bend the knees just a degree or two for balance. Support yourself with your left hand. Rest your head on your bicep. And then just gently start to roll forward and back. And it's going to be different for everyone. Some people might move so minutely that I can't even tell. So give yourself that permission to find how much you want to be moving. See if you can relax the head and neck. And then bring awareness starting down at the feet. And now that you know the exercise, you can trace that pathway yourself. Maybe there's an area that feels extra interesting. Give yourself permission to explore that. We want to be interested. We want to be intrigued by the space that we're discovering inside. Keep making your way up. And see if you can be aware of the breath at the same time that you're aware of these gentle sensations in the right side. You don't need to rush. When you have made it all the way to the hand, take some time to just observe the whole body as this conduit of energy, this pipeline that awareness and energy can travel through. And once you've balanced out sides, you can roll onto the belly back into that starting position. And just notice if there's any new sense of lubrication or spaciousness on the right side, a sense of evenness through both sides of the body. And we'll try to keep this full body awareness alive as we go into our sequence. And so place the hands underneath the shoulders, setting up for a cobra pose. Gently drag the hands back and notice how the arms enliven and how the shoulder blades sliding on the back wakes up the muscles on the back. Release and repeat that a couple of times, just starting to illuminate the back space. And the next time the heart reaches forward and hovers, gently start to sway the shoulders to the right and then to the left. And as you do this, notice the sensations traveling across the back. So it's not just erector spinae alongside the spine, but you start to wake up more muscles towards the lateral edges of the body. And then from center, extend the left arm, roll onto the left side, just like we did at the beginning, and then bend the knees subtly and just gently round the spine, just a little baby rounding of the spine as a counter pose. And then bring the heels in line with the sits bones, and we'll do a little bit of hip work. Support yourself with your front hand so you don't roll around. Keep the ankles together and gently lift the knee, externally rotating the thigh. And then keep the angle of the thigh where it is, but slowly start to lift the right heel so the thigh internally rotates. Extend the leg and slowly place the leg back down. Bend the knee so you're back at the beginning. And we'll go through that a few times. So first, lift the knee, then lift the ankle, extend the leg, and lower with control. Once you've got the hang of it, try to smooth out those actions so it no longer feels like a sequence, but just a continuous flow of exploration in the right hip socket. You are always welcome to add or subtract anything in every pose that we do today. Start to notice a sense of warming through the thigh, the hip socket, maybe even into the low abdominals. The next time the leg slowly lowers and bends, reach the right arm forward towards the screen. Draw a big rainbow up and overhead, slowly rolling off of your mat, placing both shoulders onto the earth. Cross right leg over left and make some big hip circles. You might notice a little bit of extra awareness of the right hip after doing that work. And so feel free to massage the right hip and allow this to be exploratory. And then stack the knees over the shoulders. Give yourself a hug with the left arm on top and slowly start to lift up towards the knees. You can squeeze the knees in for the little eagle prep crunch. Release down and take a few of these, but try to use minimal effort. Sometimes we overdo it and we over-contract the front edge of the body. Lift, use the body, but just don't exert unnecessary force. The next time you lift, grab behind the legs, kick the legs to roll up to a cross-legged boat pose. It's okay if you have to roll a couple of times. And then grab behind the knees, uncross the legs, and kick one leg at a time. As you kick one leg at a time, shift the weight from side to side and let yourself start to explore the lateral space of the body. So you're not just going forward and back, but you're swaying from side to side. The legs can kick out at an angle. The body can lower a little bit. You're trying to find crevices in the core that you don't often explore. We're going to call this falling through space. It's nice to name the poses because we'll come back to them over and over again, and it's a little easier to remember when they have a name. From here, gently lower the feet down in front of you and allow the knees to drop away from me to the right. Take a nice easy twist to the right and plant your hands underneath your shoulders in your twist. Bend the elbows, making springs of the arms, and just take a couple of bounces. The palms can stay on the ground, but just explore that sense of the arms and the shoulders filling and expanding, and then deflating and softening. The next time the arms inflate and fill, sweep the arms back the way you came, rolling all the way into table, back on the mat. And I'm going to demo that a couple of times, and you can practice. So from Bharadvajasana, you puff up the arms, sweep them over to the left, and roll to the left into table. Your head will be pointed the way we began. It's okay if it's hard at first. We're going to repeat this a lot of times. So this first round is about figuring out the sequence. The next time you roll into table, pause there, paw out the hands, and bring a little extra weight into the outer edge of the hands and the base of the wrist. So there's a lot of space underneath the knuckles and the palm. Walk the hands forward, one handprint, tuck the toes under, and push into the hands to hover the hips high. Observe a couple of breath flows, allowing the body to expand, taking any exploratory movements that are inviting, swaying the hips, pedaling the legs, whatever the body's asking for. And then come to center and start to bend and extend the knees, thinking of the hips and the legs like a spring. And so as the knees bend, they store energy, and as they extend, the hips just spring up. The next time the hips start to spring up, step the left foot forward outside of the hands into a high lunge. Release the back knee, walk the left foot over to the left, walk the hands a little closer to you, and we'll take some of those hula hoops that we did earlier in class. This is a great way to release the psoas and to lubricate the hip sockets. Pause at center, slide the left foot a little closer in so it'll be more stable when we come up. Walk the hands in towards the leg, push down to slowly rise up with control, stacking one vertebra at a time, and then lift the arms into a huge V. Just imagine energy and space just pouring into this funnel through the body. Observe a breath flow. And then point the right fingertips up, left fingertips down, bringing them in around the navel into our Lakshmi Mudra. Remember, the right fingertips are symbolizing connecting to a higher flow of energy. You can imagine that just flowing through you. And then the left fingertips are this possibility of just letting go, letting that energy travel out and beyond. And slowly start to lower the left hand and lift the right hand, right? It's the direction the fingers want to go. Reach up and over to the left, allowing the whole right side of the body to soften. And then come back to center, Lakshmi Mudra in our lunge, and take a few of these side bends, anchoring in at center, and then letting the whole right side of the body open as those fingertips reach higher and higher. The next time you reach up and over, pause there and just scan along the right side of the body. Try to notice the connection from the right knee up into the hip, up into the armpit and beyond. And then reach both arms up and all the way to the right. Plant the right hand beyond your mat in line with the right knee and lift the right knee, pivot to the right. So you're kind of in like a quarterback mode. Prasarita Padottanasana, bend the knees, melt the head down, walk the hands in. Allow the pelvis to be springy, shift the weight from side to side. And then level the pelvis at center, push down into the legs, puffing up the body, and start to make some big circles with the hands reaching to the right, up, and then left and down. And slow this down a lot so that you can really feel how the reaching changes the direction of the torso, the weight in the feet. Really try to feel the connection, these big circles. You might need to adjust the feet if you start to feel any pressure in the knees. You can change the direction of the feet, walking them in or out. The next time the hands reach up overhead, extend the legs, pause for a moment at center. Here, another big funnel of energy. Just imagine all of your spaciousness coming alive with energy. Gently release the hands down, bend the right knee, and slide the left foot in underneath the left hip. Shift more weight into the right leg and slowly glide the left foot in front of you, externally rotating the thigh and bending the knee. And then return to those Lakshmi hands, right fingertips up, left fingertips down. We're going to call this dancing Lakshmi pose. Take a moment to spring into the right knee a couple of times. And then notice the angle of the left foot. This is probably the best angle when you place your foot down. So place the foot down at that same angle, shift the weight forward slightly, and let the back toes turn out so there's no tension in the knee. Soften through the front knee. Same action that we did in our lunge. Right hand up, left hand down. Letting that whole right side body open. Modified Krishna pose. And then here's our spring, right? The right side of our body's really lengthening. Imagine it slowly starting to shorten and let that spring you back to center. Turn the feet to the right so you're in like a short Prasarita Padottanasana. It's okay if one foot is off the mat. It's good for your ankles. Sweep the fingertips forward, bend the knees, reach the hips back, wide-legged chair pose. Take a moment to ungrip the toes. Bring a little extra weight in the heels. It's okay if you aren't bending the knees very much. And then slowly drip the body over the knees, releasing into a wide-legged Uttanasana. Plant the hands, the short edge of the mat, and step the feet back into plank. Pause for a moment in plank. Option to release the knees. And then try to just find your minimal effort here. So you're strong, but you're not overdoing it. Drop the knees down and slowly lower the left hip towards the left side of the mat, rolling over the hips. Keep rolling to the right into Bharad Vajrasana. So similar to our transition before, and I'll demo a couple of times in case that didn't come through. So from table, the hips lower, and you just keep rolling to the right into Bharad Vajrasana. Great. Lift the left fingertips, lengthening fingertips to armpit to left hip. And then we're going to go back the way we came. So the left hip slowly releases to the left. You're facing the edge of the mat that you were in the beginning. The left hand plants and then roll onto the knees back to that tabletop position. Try that a couple of times so that it starts to feel familiar. The next time you roll into table, notice how the momentum wants to take your knees and point them to the left a little. Play with pointing the knees from right to left just to fire up the core. And the next time the knees point to the left, walk the feet in a little bit. Place the left foot down, point it off at an angle, and bring all your weight into your left foot and your right hand. If that feels okay, you can play with sliding your right leg through. This is going to help us later. And then just go back the way you came into that buoyant table. Step the feet back, drop the knees, and slowly melt the body onto the mat. Stack the hands, release. We are facing the other direction, but we are back at the beginning. We're going to go through that same sequence on the second side. If you're following along with the music, you can go to the second track now, gathering. And so there's no surprises. We're doing that same sequence. The body is learning the way, even if your mind doesn't remember. And so let the next few breaths just be this spacious opportunity to come to homeostasis, let everything pattern inside so that when we go through it again, there's a little more ease, a little more of that divine intelligence and buoyancy. So we'll start with cobra pose. Place the hands underneath the shoulders, reach the feet back, drag the hands back to illuminate your backside, and then slowly sway from side to side. If you would like to make circles with the shoulder girdle, that can be a fun way to come a little deeper into it. Go the opposite direction. And then extend the right arm, rest the cheek on the right bicep, and slowly roll onto the right. Bend the knees and gently round the spine. And then bring heels in line with the glutes. Slowly lift the left knee and then lift the left foot. Extend the left leg and lower it down with control. And then bend the knee, bringing it back to that starting position. Knee lifts, then foot, leg extends, and then slowly lower it with control. Start to move through those movements again, or your own, just to explore all the different angles of the femur in the hip socket, illuminating the glutes, the outer leg line, the low abdominals. The next time the leg lowers, reach the left fingertips towards me and then draw a big arc in the air so you can slowly melt the shoulders, and then the left hip all the way down and you're on your back. Cross the left leg over the right and start to draw big circles with the knees, massaging out the hips. Go both directions. Can give a little extra love to that left hip that was working so hard for you. And then give yourself a big hug with the right arm on top and take a few easeful lifts towards the knees, elbows and knees gently squeezed together, utilizing right effort. You don't need to overdo it. Next time you lift up, grab behind the legs, extend them and kick them forward to roll up to cross-legged boat. Uncross the legs and slowly lean away from them in all directions, allowing yourself to fall through space. And if you actually do fall off to the side, that's great, because it means you discovered a place that your core really needs some work. Release the feet down with bent knees. Allow the knees to fall away from me. Plant the hands over to the left in a nice, easy Bharadvajasana. And then bend the elbows and extend the arms a couple of times. Adjust the twist so it doesn't feel like too deep of a twist, and just allow the arms to become springy, though the palms, or rather the fingertips, stay down. The next time the elbows bend and extend, reach the arms up and let them windmill over to the right. So you're rolling onto the right hip and then onto the knees into that table, and then reverse it. So right hip down, roll over the hips to the left, spring the arms, and then roll to the right into table. We'll take a couple of those rolls. And the next time you come onto the mat, pause there. We'll take a couple more of those springs, but this time we'll lift our hands off. So bend the elbows and then press into the fingertips to bounce away from the mat a couple of times. And make sure there's no tension in the neck and shoulders. If there is, walk the hands a little closer to you, and before you push off, drag the hands towards you to wake up the triceps and the bottom of the shoulders, and let those muscles support you as you spring up and down a couple more times. And the next time the hands lower, walk them forward a handprint. Push into the hands, allow the hips to lift, allow the legs to extend, and pause for a moment in Adho Mukha Svanasana. You can keep moving, or you can just observe the breath, observe the energy traveling through the body. And then soften knees, And start to bend and extend the legs, allowing the hips to spring up and down. And notice a sense of buoyancy as the hips release towards the heels and then lift back up towards down dog. And the next time the knees bend and the hips start to lift, step the right foot forward and just notice if it can glide forward with the pelvis. Release the left knee down, walk the right foot off to the side and start to draw some nice big circles with the hip. And go in the other direction. And then walk the hands in towards the left leg slightly. Walk the right leg back. And then push down to slowly rise up into Anjaneyasana, allowing the spine to unfurl. Notice the muscles of the back body that help open the heart. And then we'll do Lakshmi Mudra on the second side. So left fingertips up, right fingertips down. I'm going to turn so you guys can see me here. So allow the right fingertips to start to melt down and lift the left hand up, opening through the left side. And then come back to center with your Lakshmi hands. And just take a few pulses, allowing the direction of the fingertips to lift and lower the respective hands and arms. Pay a little extra attention to the left side of the body, opening all the way down into the left quad, through the psoas. And the next time you melt over to the right, pause there for a moment. Observe a breath. Notice the left side. And then start to close the left side, windmilling the arms over to the left. Plant the left hand. Lift the left knee. Pivot the feet. Release both hands down. Prasarita Padottanasana. And then slowly circle to the left this time. Bend the knees through the center and have a sense of the whole body working together. And so there's a sense of ease and tensegrity, evenly dispersing through all of the joints and all of the muscles. If you ever need more stability, walk the feet a little closer together. The next time the arms lift, pause there, shift the weight into the left foot, and slowly glide the right leg underneath the right hip, and pause for a moment at center. If it's okay in the shoulders, you can keep the hands lifted as this sense of being a conduit, allowing energy to flow through you. And then bend both knees, shift the weight into the left foot, glide the right foot across and up, allowing the right leg to externally rotate, and right fingertips down, left fingertips up, dancing Lakshmi. Pause for a moment, find a drishti, bounce the left knee a couple of times, and then keep the right toes at the same angle, but lower the right foot down. Allow the left toes to turn out slightly so the legs are crossed. Bend the right knee and lift the left arm up and over for Krishna pose. Bring extra awareness into the right knee and make sure it feels supported. Disperse the weight through both feet evenly. And then rainbow the arms up and over to the left. Turn the feet to the left and sink the hips back to a wide chair. Slowly drip the body over the legs. Let the hips lift. Uttanasana, just melt. No resistance in the body. Walk the hands to the short edge of the mat. Step back into plank. Bend the elbows a little bit. Allow the knuckles to puff away from the mat so there's more weight on the pinky side of the wrist and hand. Observe the breath. Make sure you're not holding. And then lower the knees down. And this time we're going to roll to our right. So right hip comes down. The knees point up to the ceiling. Hands arc over to the left. Bharadvajasana towards me. Reach the right arm forward and up. So it's just an extension of that right side body lengthening. and then go back the way you came into that tabletop. If you want, the knees can hover and swivel, and then set them back down, and just take a few of those rolls. And when we're rolling, we want there to be a sense of ease, right? So you can move nice and slow. Make sure the shoulders feel supported. There's no tension in the knees. And the next time you roll into table, hover the knees, allow them to swivel from side to side, letting the toes shift as well. And then the next time they point to the right, step the right foot forward so it really feels solid and anchored underneath you, pointed out to the right. Push into the left hand, and then step the left foot through, and then put it back to where it came from. And you can try that again if you want. It's going to help us later. And then from hovering table, step the feet back, drop the knees down, and slowly release to the mat with as little tension as possible. Stack the hands. Observe the breath. You might notice that the breath has changed as we start to exert our bodies a little bit more. Just observe. There's no need to change it. And so that's our sequence. You've seen the whole thing. And we're just going to do it again on each side. And we'll have some options to add things on, make things more fluid. But you've been down this path. And so just see if you can notice something more support, more ease, more release as you walk that same path again. You can always add on, and you can always subtract. So if you're following along with the music, you can go to the next track, How I Feel. Slide the hands underneath the shoulders, drag the hands back isometrically, activating arms and back, and then start to shift the weight to the right, back, left, and down, drawing some big circles. If the body feels ready for it, it is okay to allow the spine to extend a little bit more through center. Just make sure the low back feels supported and you're not just muscling into it. Go the opposite direction. Bring extra awareness, pinky side of the hand all the way up through the triceps, the back of the shoulders, making sure to stay spacious through the chest, the neck, the top of the shoulders. Extend the left arm, roll onto the left side, bend the knees a little bit, lift the right knee, and then lift the right heel. Extend the leg. Two options. You can lower straight down like you did before, or you can kick the leg forward and lower with both thighs in line with one another. It's a little bit harder. So just play with what feels most interesting and healthy for your body. And then the true test is if you can smooth it out. So if you do the hard one, but you can't move very smoothly, it might actually be slightly dysfunctional, in which case try the other one and see if you can move with a lot of control, which means the body's really working in harmony. All of those synergistic muscles are coming online to support you holistically. The next time the leg lowers, right fingertips towards me. Actually, both hands towards me. That will help. Draw a big arc over you, slowly rolling onto the back. Cross right leg over left. Option to undertuck the right toes underneath the calf for eagle legs, only if that's comfortable in the hip sockets. Give yourself a hug with the left arm on top, and then bring the backs of the hands together, or wrap the arms for eagle arms, bringing the palms together. We'll take a few lifts and lowers here, squeezing elbows and knees, and then lengthening them apart. So there's a sense of the body like a rope, pulling and tensioning evenly as elbows and knees reach apart. The next time you lift up, uncross the arms, uncross the legs, grab behind the thighs, and roll up. And we'll start to fall through space. Option to keep the arms on the legs or release them. Let the arms be free. It's a little bit harder, but you can explore more range of motion. So I'm going to turn so you can see how much I really lean to the side in somewhat erratic, unpredictable motions, which really get my core firing. It should feel very hard. That means you're finding good nooks. And then pause. Release the feet down. We're just going to do this one time. Roll away from me, easy broad to the right. Place the hands, bend the elbows, take one spring, and roll all the way over to the left into tabletop. Walk the hands forward, extend the legs, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Bend the knees, reaching the hips towards the heels. It can be a little more dramatic this time. And then as you kick into the feet, allow the hips to spring forward. Take a few springs like this. This time, allowing the body to spring all the way forward into a plank pose. So there's a sense of the hips reaching back and then pushing forward into plank. The next time you spring forward, take your left leg with you, stepping it outside of the hands. Drop the knees. We're going to skip the hula hoops this time and just walk the hands in, pushing down into the feet, slowly rising up into Anjaneyasana. Big funnel. Take a moment to visualize energy just pouring through you. And then bring the hands to the navel, right fingers up, left fingertips down. Melt the left arm down, reach the right arm up and over. And then back to Lakshmi Mudra at the center. Take a few of those pulses, opening the right side of the body. And the next time you reach up and over, pause there, and then sway the arms up and over. Plant the right hand off to the side, lift the right knee, pivot the feet to the right, and then go right into those circles to the right. Allowing the knees to bend through center. It's okay to let the weight shift in the feet. The next time you circle to the right, shift the weight into the right foot. Start to drag the left foot all the way in to dancing Lakshmi. Right fingertips up, left fingertips down. Spring the right leg a couple of times. And then step the left foot forward, let the back toes turn out, and bend the left knee for Krishna pose. But we're just going to add in a nice side bend, reaching up and over with the right. And then pivot the feet to the right and let the body spring up to neutral, facing the right edge of the mat. Sweep the arms forward, send the hips back, wide-legged chair pose. And now we're actually going to repeat that exact sequence all the way around, and I'll tell you how to do that. So from here, shift the weight into the right foot, sweep the left leg forward and up, returning to dancing Lakshmi, right fingertips up, left fingertips down, spring the right knee, plant the left foot forward, bend both knees, reach up and over to the left into Krishna pose, and then windmill the arms up to neutral, turn the feet to the right, so you're facing away from the screen. Release the hands down, and then hips down, sweep the arms up, chair pose. Shift the weight into the right, glide the left foot across, dancing Lakshmi. Take a couple of easeful springs, and then step the left foot forward, turn the right toes out. Krishna pose with a nice big side bend. And then lift everything to neutral, turn the toes to the right, drop the hands down, pause. You should be facing the first edge of the mat where we started class. And then hips back, sweep the arms up, chair pose, shift the weight into the right, glide the left foot forward and up, hands to dancing Lakshmi. Take your springs, set the left foot down, bend both knees, Krishna pose. In the last two rounds, move with a little more consciousness as you know the pathway. I'll talk you through it. You'll turn to the right. We've got Lakshmi and then Krishna and then the turn. See if you can make your way through each movement with a little more consciousness. Once you've turned towards the short edge of the mat on the right side, you're done. We'll meet in chair pose, facing the right edge of the mat. So if you're faster, it means you just have to hold chair pose longer. And then melt over the legs, plant the hands, step back into plank. And this time, swivel the heels from side to side and just notice how that activates the side body a little bit more. You can allow the hips to swivel and just make sure there's no tension in the knees. If there is, don't swivel quite as far. And then lower the knees down, walk the hands underneath the shoulders. Lower the left hip. We'll roll to Barad to the right, just like we did before, and then we're going to add on. So from Barad Vajrasana, lift the left arm, getting that nice length through the left side of the body. And then I'm going to demo this really fast. So you can release the arm down. So you're going to roll back the way you came. And then from here, pivot the feet, step that left foot down, and kick the right foot through. We practiced it before, but now we're just going to take the momentum all the way through, and I'll go with you. So from Barad, lift the left arm so there's a sense of that right side of the body almost like coiling up and twisting with potential energy. And then let the coil release, sweeping your hands to the left, rolling over the knees into table. Hover the knees, step the left foot, and then kick the right leg through. Nice. And then go back to table, and we'll do it again. So from hovering table, it's your choice if knees are up and or down. So roll over to the right into Barad. Take a moment to coil up. And then when you're ready, let that potential energy spring you over to the right. Kick the right leg through. Option to do it one more time or to lower the hip and just twist to the left. So if that was a lot for you, just pause and just take a nice modified Urdhva Matsyendrasana. If you want one more spring from tabletop, start to spiral to the right into Barad, wind up, and then untwist and kick through into what I like to call heron kick. If you're in the twist, let's actually all take that twist. Lower the right hip down. We'll all take a nice easy twist to the left. And then untwist to the right, plant the hands, extend the left leg back, drag the right leg back to downward facing dog, bend the knees, and then slowly roll the spine forward, stacking shoulders over wrists, release knees to the mat, melt down towards the mat, hands stack, elbows wide. Just pause and melt, take that all in, and do a little scan of the body. There were some challenging moments, especially that heron kick, and so just notice if you have accumulated any tension, and try to notice that without judgment, but just make sure on the second side you continue to choose options that support you wherever you are today. So we'll just take one more round, balancing it out on the second side, and then we'll cool down and we'll meditate. So let's just take a few extra breaths here. You know the pathway, there's no surprises. See if you can just allow the nervous system to relax. Allow the breath to be received. If you need to grab a sip of water before we begin, you can. All right. Place the hands underneath the shoulders, drag the hands back, and start to draw your circles. If you notice that you naturally start to come up a little higher, it is okay to drag the hands a little further back so that you're able to extend the spine more. Just make sure there's no compression in the low back when you do that. You always want to think about reaching the spine forward. And then extend the right arm, roll onto the right side, bend the knees, drawing heels in line with the hips, curl the spine gently towards the thighs, and then relax, and we'll explore the left hip. So lift the knee, and then lift the ankle, extend the leg, and then your choice, you can lower down with the foot pointing away from you or pointed towards the computer screen. Just make sure that's okay on your hip. And then bend the knee, lift ankle, extend leg, and then choose your direction, or somewhere in the middle works too. And then just try to smooth that out. Smooth movement takes a lot more muscle control. It takes a lot more finesse with the smaller muscles. It's not just poetic, it's very functional. The next time the leg lowers, reach both arms towards me, sweep the left fingertips forward, up and open, rolling onto the back. Cross the left leg over the right, option to double cross. Give yourself a hug with the right arm on top, and then bring the backs of the hands or the palms together, and take a few lifts and lowers, letting the knees and elbows draw together, and then reach apart. As they reach apart, imagine those spiral fibers like a rope, just tensioning as they lengthen. The next time you lift, uncross arms and legs, grab behind the legs, and kick the legs forward into Paripurna Navasana. Keep your hands here or set them free as you start to reach one leg out at a time, leaning back in all directions, trying to explore areas of the core that have never supported you before. If you fall, I will congratulate you, because it means you really are trying to find somewhere you've never been supported. Nice job. And then release the soles of the feet down. Let the knees drop to the left. Twist to the left, plant the hands, take one spring, let the arms rainbow up and over to the right, rolling into your tabletop. And then step the hands forward, one handprint, tuck toes under, lift the knees, push into the hands, reaching hips up and back, and then bend knees deeply, like a little leapfrog, bringing the hips towards the heels, and then spring into the legs, shifting shoulders over wrists into plank, and then repeat that. Bend knees, send hips to heels, and then spring forward. And then try to smooth this out too, so it almost feels more like a circle. The next time you spring forward, take your right leg with you outside of the hands, drop the left knee down, and push down to slowly rise up into a big funnel of energy. Feel free to open through the front of the body, gaze up. And then Lakshmi Mudra, left fingertips up, right fingertips down. Let the right fingertips melt down into the right, and then lift the left arm up and over to the right, opening the whole left side, and then back to center. Take 3 more pulses like this, playing with opening the left side and then springing it closed. The next time you open, pause, observe a breath, and then spring the left side closed all the way over to the left, so the left hand plants. Pivot the feet to the left and start to draw circles to the left. Big circles shifting through the knees. Try to feel equal balance in the front of the hip and the back of the hip. The next time you circle to the left, shift the weight into the left foot, glide the right foot forward and up, rotate the right leg, left fingertips up, right fingertips down, bounce in your dancing Lakshmi, and then plant the right foot forward, bend the right knee, let the left toes turn out, and melt up and over to the left. We're going to repeat this Lakshmi mandala all the way around, starting with lifting arms up and over, turn the feet to the left, drop the hands, pause for a moment to get your bearings, and then sweep fingertips forward, set the hips back into chair pose, shift the weight into the left, glide the right foot up into dancing Lakshmi and take your bounces. And then with the left knee bent, set the right foot forward, let the left toes turn out, Krishna pose, and then pivot everything to the left, wide Tadasana, and then easy chair. Shift the weight into the left. Glide the right leg to the left, dancing Lakshmi. Bounce. Right foot steps, melt up and over to the right, Krishna. And then pivot everything to the left. Pause in wide Tadasana. Sweep arms forward, sink the hips back into chair. Shift the weight. Glide the right leg forward and up, dancing Lakshmi. And then set the right foot down, bend the right knee, melt up and over to the right. Last one, pivot the feet to the left. Pause for a moment. And then sweep the arms up, sink the hips back, melt into chair. Notice if there's more familiarity and ease here. Glide the right leg over and up, dancing Lakshmi. Step the right foot forward, melt the left side of the body, support the right knee. Pivot everything to the left, just pause. And then sweep the arms up, sink the hips back, chair pose. And then melt everything over the legs. Can shimmy back onto the mat. You're facing the left short edge of the mat now. Gently step back to your plank. Swivel the heels from side to side. If you want a little bit more here, the next time the heels swivel to the left, push down into the left hand. Allow the right hand to hover. If you do that, be sure to go the opposite way. Place both hands down. Set the knees down, and we're going to be rolling into Bharadvajasana to the right. So right hip down, roll over the hips to the left. Allow the right arm to reach up. Pause for a moment. And if this is ever too much, you can stay. You can enjoy some nice dynamic twisting here. And then for the rest of the sequence, untwist to the right, going all the way through hovering table. Plant the right foot, kick the left foot through, and pull the right hand back. And then go back the way you came. Hovering table, drop the knees, roll over the hips to the left. Bharadvajasana, you can always stay. And then when you're ready, unroll to the right and kick through. You can pause and take a nice twist to the right, or do one more round. Hovering table, drop the knees, hips lower to the right as you unroll all the way to the left. Lengthen through the right side. And then roll all the way back and kick the left foot through. And then we'll all set the left hip down. And we'll turn to the right, just nice, easy. Urdhva Matsyendrasana. And then plant the hands over to the left. Extend the right leg behind you. Tuck the toes under. Push into the hands and slowly drag the left foot underneath you into downward facing dog. Pause in downward facing dog for a moment. And then shift the weight forward into plank. Drop the knees and slowly melt the body all the way down onto the mat. Plant hands, elbows wide. Pause and absorb. And do a little assessment of the body. Notice if with the warmth that you've cultivated, if you're wanting a challenge pose, if you feel like you need something like that, or if you're ready to unwind, we'll have some options for both. So if you feel like your body wants a little deeper back bend after all of that shoulder and spine work, you can bring the hands back to cobra. Drag the hands back just like you did before, lengthening the spine forward. Feel all the muscles on the back body engage. Then release the body down. Slide the hands back a few inches. Tuck the toes under. And do it again, except this time lift the knees and pull on the mat to lengthen the spine through the arms in Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Keep a little spring in the elbows. And then either push to down dog, or you can come through chaturanga, lowering the shoulders and then pushing into the hands to extend the arms into down dog. It's a little safer than lowering down into chaturanga. From downward facing dog, if you still want a little bit more, I will give some options for wild thing because your shoulders are nice and warmed up. If you feel like cooling down, you're welcome to go on your own and do anything you want on the back body. One recommendation is some nice of those figure four hip openers that we did like this, but you can take them a little deeper with the legs in figure four. If you want to play with wild thing, from downward facing dog, bend the knees, spring the hips a couple of times, and then lift the left leg nice and high. Push into the hands. Feel the connection between the hands, into the shoulders, into the core, all the way into that extended leg. Then slowly lengthen the left foot over to the right. Push down into the right hand and allow the left hand, the foot to lower behind you, reaching up with the left arm. And then either go back the way you came or release the hips down and roll into table so we can go the opposite way. So return to down dog. Assess the right side of the body. Make sure it feels supported and like that was a good idea. And if it does, we'll do it on the left side. So lift the right leg. Push into the hands. Keep a little spring in elbows and knees, and slowly reach the right foot behind you, lowering it to the space off of the mat. Pivot the feet and push down into the left arm to open the heart. Make sure there's a lot of space underneath the shoulder. And then option to go back the way you came or to place the hands down, lower the knees, and roll into table. And once we've met at table, let's just take some nice barrel rolls through the spine, just working out any kinks in the shoulders, in the hips, in the spine. And then extend the legs, slowly lower. Extend the left arm and make your way onto your back. And shift onto the mat. So you're actually truly on your back on the mat for once in this class. And then extend the left arm overhead. Roll onto the left side, just like we did so many times, but now you're in front of your mat a little bit, so when you roll back, there's a mat behind you. Reach the right fingertips forward and slowly start to circle the right arm overhead and then back behind you. And as the arm reaches back behind you, allow the shoulder, the right shoulder and the right hip to start to melt onto the mat so you're not in a super deep twist. And then let the arm keep circling, pulling you back onto your side. Just take a few of these nice, easy circles. We're not trying to go into a deep twist. You're letting the knee and the hip follow the arm. So as the arm really pulls, it's okay for the hips to open a little bit. It's okay for the right hip to come to the earth. Make any adjustments to the legs so this feels really supported. And each time you circle, try to make more and more contact with the earth. So more of the body just melts and dissolves into the mat. It's okay to adjust the knees, adjust the legs so there's no tension in the low back. You can even extend the legs. That's kind of fun, actually. And the next time the right shoulder starts to melt onto the mat, pause, gaze to the right as long as there's no tension in the neck. And then slowly let the legs unfold so you're on your back, nice and even, symmetrical. Just let your body be supported. And then to go the other way, bend the left knee, place the sole of the left foot down, reach the right arm overhead, and then push into the left foot to slowly roll onto the right side, facing away from the screen. Bend the knees a little bit or keep the legs extended if you liked that more. Reach the left arm straight out, and then start to reach the arm overhead, back behind you. Bend the left knee a little bit. Place the sole of the left foot resting behind you for a little guidance as you draw these clockwise circles. Just letting everything melt onto the mat. And the next time the left arm circles up and back, you can pause on the back and gaze left. It's okay to bend the knees and drop them to the right in a more traditional twist. And just melt for a second. And then allow the legs to unfurl. Reach your arms at any angle that serves your shoulders and just pause for a moment in stillness. If you're still listening to music, you can pause the track. And we'll be making our way up to seated for meditation. And I invite you to move just as consciously as you did through class. Shifting the weight, either rolling up or rolling onto one side. Whatever pathway is inviting to you. And you're creating your own pathway, but see if you can still bring as much interest and as much attention as possible. And once you've made it up to seated, you're welcome to grab a cushion, a blanket, a chair, whatever helps you sit supported and comfortable. And we talked so much today about how bringing more awareness, more feeling, more space into our yoga practice really serves us in meditation. So as you start to melt into your meditation seat, just notice any new quality of inner exploration that's available to you right now. Even though we're not moving any longer, sometimes there's a tingling, an inner springiness, sense of inner awake that happens through all the rolling, all of the melting, all of the fascia work. So just become present to the sensation that's available. And then see if you can start to soften. We are not getting rid of the physical body, but we're working with it, even mastering it in a way so that we can go beyond. So from stillness, notice there's a sense of the physical body being awake and alive, and your awareness expanding beyond that form. You can imagine your skin, the edges of your body tingling and vibrating and just subtly dissolving. And just keep observing the breath. And letting your breath be an inner anchor in between the body and the beyond. Try to let go of any control of the breath. And just observe its natural rhythm. And this first day of the training is dedicated to Durga mantra. Om Hrim Shrim Doom Durgaye Namaha. So if you'd like to silently repeat that mantra with the breath, invoking this energy that helps us relinquish all of our attachments, all of our clinging, so that there's more space for what's possible. And I'll put it on the screen just in case. Just as we've been working to allow the breath to be natural and unfettered by the mind, see if you can soften your mantra repetition so it feels just as natural as the breath. It's this natural cyclical energy that can unfold without doership. You're welcome to stay upright, practicing in this way for as long as it serves you. And you're also welcome to allow the body to melt completely in Shavasana. And try to feel inside as you make that decision from a deeper place than the mind. And from either position, upright in meditation or reclined in Shavasana, allow yourself to soften. Allow yourself to ungrip any hold of the physical body and merge more deeply with your breath, the mantra if you're still practicing it, and this higher form of energy that is always available when we direct our focus. We'll have several more minutes to merge with this state you've cultivated through your effort and your focus, but also your sweetness and your openness. Become aware of the physical edges of your body. Try to simultaneously be aware of the space within and the space without. Maintaining that wholeness. Start to invite gentle movements. And allow each movement to be a moment of discovery. Discovering sensation, discovering awareness. And allow that curiosity to lead you back to seated. There's no need to rush. And while people are making their way back, I just want to mention that I want you to have your own experience of working with Durga mantra. My experience is sometimes that energy can stir things up, as we clear the way for something new. It means we have to sometimes leave things behind, and that process can be agitating, it can be painful. Maybe there's things that you don't want to leave behind. So it's okay if things are stirred up for you today or the next couple days as we work with her. Just try to trust that the universe wants you to realize your full potential. And there are no accidents, so you being in this training and any new information you discover inside of yourself is all part of the universe unfolding for you. And just try to use your practice to trust and let go and see what's possible for your future. That's our day. A couple of logistical things. Reminder that tomorrow's going to start earlier. It's going to start an hour and a half early. So we'll have more fun today, and we'll also have more breaks, so don't panic. And then the afternoon session is going to be a little bit different because it's our public yoga class, and so it just stays on that time. And so it's instead of tonight, it was 1:30 to 3 Hawaii time. The evening session tomorrow would be starting right now, so 3 to 4:30. So there's quite a longer break before yoga, and that's just on Wednesday. So thanks for being flexible so that we can work with Konalani's schedule. And I can stick around for a moment if there are any questions. Otherwise, have a wonderful evening, and I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Namaste. Thanks for coming, Nirmaya. I'm so happy you're here.
Oh, there's the music playlist.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, we've found that it works best when people can control it and the volume themselves. So I'll make sure you know about that for next time. But it's on our website.
Yeah, okay. I have people coming and going, and it's crazy. Anyway, this is lovely. And one thing that was very nice when we did the rollover, and you said feel the difference of the first side and then to the left side in the very beginning. And I could really feel it when it got all balanced. It was really nice.
Yay.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for the feedback. So good to see you, Sean. It's been too long. I
See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.
Yay. I'm so glad you get to be here, Deepa. It like makes it just feel so cosmic.
It really, yeah, it really does. It feels like it's like come full circle.
Yeah.
It's so weird. I'm like, whoa. It's
It,
so psychedelic.
Yay. Oh.
Yeah. Thank you. You guys are doing awesome.
Oh, thank you. You are adding so much, so I'm like so grateful that you're here.
Aw.
And it's just fun too.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank
Have a
you.
great night. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.